Hi, Partners in Excellence. This is a video follow-up to this week's education moment, which was one-to-one fully done. I wanted to come back because I was having a little bit of an issue with the slides and the projector on Wednesday, but also I wanted to take a couple moments on each of these pieces of the one-to-one worksheets in order to better describe some of the things I've commonly run into myself and also describe maybe some things that would be helpful to you in preparing your one-to-one worksheets for the kind of most effective meeting with and among each other. So like I said yesterday, even for myself, it's been easy to kind of half-ass some things sometimes because things are going well in BNI and I'm kind of doing good enough that it works the way I want it to, but am I actually using the tools to their maximum effectiveness? And the answer is just for me, it's not. I have more one-to-ones that I'd like to do with everybody. I can certainly have lots of explanations for why I have not been able to do them, but what I really want is if I'm happy with my success now that I'm having and my one-to-ones have been like a little bit low, gosh, I can only imagine what it would look like if I actually fully commit to do them in their entirety and also use the tools to their fullest. So that's what I want to talk about today. Right away, I'm going to jump to the final page of it, which is reviewing the system. It's very easy for us to just schedule coffee or hang out after the meeting and talk. But is that really an effective one-to-one? I also socialize with a lot of you and love talking to you and hearing about the updates in your life. But a lot of times, some of my conversations I even ask questions about are short on the types of things that might actually help you advance some of the business goals you have, which BNI is a part of. So let's just go through this really quickly and make sure that we're kind of honoring ourselves and our membership and one another in following the system so that we can get the best out of it. And that starts by setting a date and time. Let's actually commit to when we're going to meet, where we're going to meet, and then be dedicated to that. Then prepare your worksheets. So that means all 4 of the sheets, the member bio, the gains profile, the contact sphere, and the last 10 customers. Have that done in advance. If I didn't know you and I was coming to meet you for the first time, how well would I prepare myself in order to earn your business, earn your trust, earn the ability to gain referrals from you? This is where that step in the preparation is really critical and key. I'll also send that to each other beforehand so that we actually have time to look and read the one-to-ones before I show up at the meeting place with you. So if I'm supposed to meet with you on a Friday at 10 a.m., don't send it to me Friday at 9 a.m. Send me the one-to-one worksheet a day or 2 or 3 days in advance, or maybe after we even schedule it. Same thing that you should expect from me. I should send it to you in advance so you actually can look through my one-to-one worksheets and notate things that are of interest. It might even spark some idea of referrals you might be sitting on already, even before we meet, or people that maybe we should invite eventually to the table to sit with us together. And then write questions. So what does that mean, this thing over here? What does that thing mean over there? Describe to me more about how this helps you. So that way we're better kind of partners and sales extensions for one another. So preparation is key. Exchanging them before the meeting like I'm talking about, but then bringing them to the one-to-one, whether that's digitally as a PDF on your laptop or iPad, or actually a printed version of your one-to-one worksheet. And then the next thing is going to be meeting and actually doing the one-to-one. And if it's an hour-long process, I'm going to take half an hour where I can educate, train, and coach you on the things that are going to help me get the referrals I'm looking to grow my business through BNI. And then that table turns and I'm going to be a student of yours. And you're going to teach and share and show me and educate me on what things I could be looking for, listening for, and what to say and do when I'm standing in the middle of those referrals, and using all that evidence packed into your one-to-one worksheets as your teaching guide so I can be a better student for you in our one-to-one time as well. That should be equally split right around that 30-minute mark if we're going to be like, super contained about a 1-hour time frame. And then beyond that, we commit and agree on goals. So look at a short-term referral goal and then a long-term referral goal, maybe inviting people from our contact spheres to the meeting to meet you or me in person. And even on the days that we're doing our presentations, like line the people up that we should know about to come and hear you speak or come and hear me speak on the day that it's my feature presentation day. And then we schedule up our following meeting. So that is like the system, and it's like quickest way of describing it. And we all have our own style and our way of doing things, but this is a tried and true proven method that when followed generates results. So the 12-week one-to-one business schedule strategy meeting is what I had talked about that I'm going to commit to doing. So essentially over the next 90 days or 12 weeks roughly, my goal is to meet with every single person in the chapter, and I will be keeping track of that so that I'm doing my adequate efforts leading into the fall so that you can end the year strong in BNI and I can end the year strong in BNI. The next page is the member bio sheet. This is actually the sheet that the Secretary Treasurer uses in order to introduce you on your feature presentation day. But there's also things in here that if I'm not paying attention, or they kind of get past me when you're being introduced, I might not otherwise see these things or know these things unless you note them on your bio sheet. So it's important to kind of pick the things you want to share here as far as some hobbies and interests, city of residence, and even your burning desire, something people don't know, and keys to success. Kind of pick the things that you think are notable, they're easy to remember, that other people could repeat on your behalf. The next thing is the gains profile worksheet. So we all know this. This is the goals, accomplishments, interests, network, and skills. And this has a variety of information in here that you do outside of the room that we meet in. You do outside of the time that we share together, where we only have 45 seconds to do our weekly ask. We do our presentation every quarter, our feature presentation every quarter. And the one-to-one kind of fills in all those spaces where I can talk to you about some of my business goals. I can talk to you about some of my more kind of pressing, time-sensitive BNI goals. I can share some accomplishments we've had, and it's not because, again, I'm gloating, I'm patting myself on the back. It's I want to arm you with things that you can go tell people. Oh, did you know that they did this, that, and the other? Did you know they were just recently awarded, or did you know that they were just certified or authenticated or whatever it is, got licensed for this additional thing? So this is where we talk about those accomplishments that are kind of tangible and intangible. That are worth noting when I'm out bragging about you to someone else that I'm trying to get to refer to you, whether it's a relationship or an actual referral for services or products. Interests, again, unless I'm talking with you and we're talking with each other at the meeting or outside the meeting about what are the things we might share in common, you may not know that Miguel's really into theater unless he tells you that. You may not know that he actually spent time in theater younger in his years when he was in high school, and that he's also into jujitsu and has a wrestling background, and all this other kind of stuff that he specifically is interested in. And other people in your life like doing business with people they know, like, and trust, and have things in common with. So it's easy to connect people where there's common ground, common denominators, where we share a hobby or an interest in common that we can actually and forge a connection on, and then put the building blocks of trust to do business with and for one another on top of some of those things. Be sure to list those things there. Networks. This is other things you're connected to, whether you sit on a board, you're in a nonprofit, you're in a local group like a Kiwanis Club or a Rotary, or even your local church or religious organization. It could be you're on your HOA. It could be that you coach Little League Baseball, or you teach dance, or something like that. Something else that's connected to you in the community where you, by being there, are in that network per se, and they know you in that place, and they already trust you in that place. Again, common grounds a lot of times, especially because of the whole giver's gain mentality and the giver's gain nature of the way we do things. It's very common that BNI members are in other places also doing similar activities that are giving and are also contributing to things that are looking to be advanced or made better or developing people, et cetera, that kind of thing. So be specific in those network areas. And last thing, skills. Sometimes not all of our abilities are able to be displayed in the 45-second weekly ask or in our 8-minute feature presentation. It was many years ago that Ramses was doing presentations for our room during his feature presentation. He'd be making mixed drinks, and he's like a mixologist. And it's like, wait, what? I didn't know this. I kind of knew he was interested in that, but oh wow, he's really making all this stuff. And that's an interesting skill. You have people in the room that they speak multiple languages. We have people that dance and sing and perform music and act, and also have some very tangible skill sets in business. You're going to find a number of members in our room where they have great management of people because they have a lot of employees. You're going to have people in the room that are really good at certain marketing tactics just beyond what they're there in the room for. They're really good at that thing. And those skills are useful talking points for me to know about you when someone's looking for someone who can handle X, Y, or Z. And I go, oh, I remember so-and-so's good at X, Y, Z. I'm in my mind matching those things. I'm kind of pairing them up. So out in public, if someone says, oh, I'm looking for someone who could really help with da, and I go, oh, well, I know someone in my group that actually does that. Not just their profession, but they're skilled at that. And they also happen to do whatever it is. That's a good way to have those skills represent you beyond the meeting and beyond just the conversation that we have in passing. Contact sphere worksheet. The contact spheres are businesses or professions that naturally provide a source of referrals for one another. They're in somewhat related but non-competitive businesses, and businesses in the contact sphere have a symbiotic relationship and they support and enhance one another. So your profession goes in the top and related professions go below that. And then you pick the top three. Like, what are the top three that help you round out your contact sphere? A lot of these end up forging power teams or specific like subgroups where with one person getting a deal, kind of everyone else gets a deal. So if someone is going to be purchasing a home, they're going to need a realtor, they're going to need insurance on the house, they're going to need their house appraised, they're going to need a mortgage, they might need a landscaper or a house cleaner. So then it goes down the waterfall of all these things that are going to be related professions. And each of those things are also interconnected with the main thing, which is we know someone that needs to buy a house. And then the top three are the ones that maybe could be wells of referral, where that bucket isn't just coming up for one drink of water. It's constantly coming up for more and more water all the time because it's repeating, it's recurring on a consistent and frequent basis. But tell us that, if I'm unclear to you about which are three professions that help round out my contact sphere, I could be missing out on a lot of opportunities because I just haven't shared it with you or taught you what they are. And it also is a little bit naive of me to assume that you would know. For example, I'll give you one right now, which is web developers are great contacts for people for me because they typically do not do video and their client is trying to solve some online presence problem, or they're redesigning their web page, or they're trying to relaunch their brand, or they're introducing the new look for their whole business, or whatever it is. They're adding new services and products, and that usually comes with some sort of marketing element. It's either social media static post, it's an email blast, it's actually doing the page updates, and if they're integrating video specifically, that web designer or that web developer could be sitting literally at the same table that I would love to be at when it comes time to communicate those messages by video. So take time for yourself to decide what are those top industries that kind of always are sitting inside referrals that would be good for you and for your business. Your best customer worksheet. This is listing the 10 best customers and then some details about them. I mentioned this in the meeting. I know because of licensing and some like legal requirements, we can't like really divulge people's personal information and maybe say their name and where they live and all that, but we can describe them. If I had you tell me a story about your best 10 customers, I would love to learn what that story is so I can identify similar stories when I'm just out and about during the week and talking with friends and family and doing other business meetings I'm at, serving clients, answering phone calls, doing all the stuff I do. And also, here's the other thing, is that regardless of whether it's legal or illegal or there's a rule against sharing people's names, maybe their situation is a little embarrassing. Maybe they don't want you to know that their house is out of order and you need to refer them to a professional organizer. Maybe that's just personally a little bit mildly shameful, if you will. And so it's okay. We don't need to talk about who that person is, but we can describe the situation. We can say single parent who recently lost their spouse, has 2 kids in elementary school, and things have just gotten a little bit out of order recently because there's just a lot emotionally going on in their life. They had a major life event, there was a big loss, and because of that, some order and structure needs to come back into their life to help them live the rest of their life to be the best of their life. And so that's a good way to say, like, what would be a best customer? Someone who's recently lost a spouse and needs to help to have their house organized and put in order in a way that will help fulfill their life easily for their life moving forward. So take a step back from your quarter and your year, or maybe your entire career, and identify who have been my most favorite customers. Why are they so good? What do I like about them? I'm willing to bet that it's not just about the money you make, it's about who they are to you and how you're able to help them achieve something they needed as a result of using your services or your products, in addition to the money. And so again, as givers gain people, that kind of comes into play as just a DNA piece of just kind of how we are, where it's not always just, oh yeah, it was my most financially lucrative client is my favorite client. Well, sometimes clients are a pain in the butt, and I don't want the pain in the butt client, even though it may pay me well. If it pays me well and it pays me once, then it's one and done. But again, going to the well technique, if I'm going back to the well again and again and again, and my best customers are also repeat customers, then you just describe that here. Give as much detail and illustration as you can in this section to prime my mind and my eyes and my ears for what to look for and what to listen for that is a match for you when it comes to you getting the best customer you want. So it's not just a referral from me, it's actually something that's really going to be lucrative for you. Now, the commitment page is pretty straightforward. Whatever your top 5 most wanted personal introductions, list it there. Put the name, company, and why it's useful. And then I'll make an effort to go and find those people or connect those people if I already know them to you to achieve the outcome that you're hoping to have. Select one personal introduction that your BNI business partner can help you with in the next week. Identify one long-term goal that your BNI business partner can help you achieve. And then what action steps need to be taken in this long-term to make this long-term goal or referral a reality. And then by when do you want to have it done? It's basically the core pieces of a SMART goal. So it's going to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. And then when's our follow-up one-to-one meeting? So if we meet on August 1st, are we going to meet again in 90 days? Or are we going to meet in 180 days? Like how long, what's the frequency for which we're both willing to let so much time elapse that we have to do a long catch up before we do a one-to-one again? And admittedly, this kind of the situation I'm in now. There's so many of the membership, so many people in the membership that I have just been distanced from since I have done a one-to-one last time that I'm just going to do them all over again right now. My next 90 days is I have to do all these because I need to put myself back into a pacing that is useful and beneficial for me and also useful for you on the receiving end. So commit to scheduling a follow-up date and time so that the things we talk about here can be followed up on. And then also guess what happens over 90 days or 180 days? Things change. There's new products or new services, or maybe you made a pivot in your business or company, or maybe your industry has a new rule that's changed. Like there's something that would be changing. Every industry has some sort of change, even if it is just a trend change and it's not something like super tactical or tactile. It could just be a trend change that would be useful for you to teach me about that I should be aware of. That's also a good reason for why we need to have some sort of like consistency for the follow-up and a recurring nature to building our relationships. That being said, I know that outside of the one-to-one process that we've been talking about here today, I know that some of your most treasured relationships in or out of business have probably been some of the most long-standing that have had some consistency, some depth to them, and some development of both people along the way. And this is an entire guide to help aid that for you in the BNI process as well. So as we kind of survey ourselves and survey our membership, and we look at the most important relationships that are important to us in our life, they tend to have those same qualities. We can copy and paste those same elements of commitment and dedication to each other at a depth level and vulnerability and working towards common goals for and with one another in this same setting and achieve some really amazing results. So I hope that this has been useful as kind of a more semi-in-depth review of the one-to-one worksheets as a follow-up to this week's education moment. Also, my commitment is the same as it was in the meeting. If you need help and you want me to help personally coach you or help you complete yours, or maybe refine it and update it to make it kind of the most maximum optimized possible worksheet that you could be using with and for one another, please take me up on that. I really want to end the year well by pivoting from summer into fall really smoothly and with good momentum on personal connections and deepening our relationships with and for one another. So thank you for watching the replay of this week's education moment, and I will see you again next week.